G'day everyone and welcome to the round 19 AFL Fantasy wrap-up video where we're heading towards the pointy end of the season now, so hopefully your team's going well, hopefully you've made a few finals in your leagues and hopefully you're climbing up those rankings. So yeah, good luck to everyone for the rest of the season. In terms of how my team went this week, I scored 2,400 on the dot, which was a pretty solid score overall I think, and yeah, as a result my ranking now sits just outside the top 1,000, so I improved around 300 spots this week, so yeah, it was a pretty solid week for my team overall. In terms of the trades that I made going into the round, and yeah, I had two forced trades this week in George Hewitt and Josh Kelly, so I had to do something with them with limited cash available, so I ended up going Hewitt to Rowan Marshall, as yeah, Marshall had that number one ruck role with Paddy Ryder out, so I thought he would be a pretty good option to bring in. And then I traded out Josh Kelly to Bailey Smith. The main reason bringing in Bailey Smith was due to that forward status, so I'll be able to flick him forward for the rest of the season. And yeah, he went pretty well, so pretty happy with those trades overall. And yeah, they'll help my team for the rest of the season. So looking back at the team now, starting in defence, Sam Doherty 109. He had about a 50-point last quarter, I think, in that game. He definitely took advantage of junk time, and he loves to do that, Doc. He's very good in those junk time minutes, and yeah, made sure he got a nice score there. Jack Sinclair, 88. He was pretty good once again. Solid score from him. Jordan Dawson, 103. He was pretty similar to Doherty. Definitely saved his score in the last quarter or so there, so yeah, I'll take that from him. His first 100 plus score since I brought him in a couple of weeks ago, so yeah, that was nice to see. Jack Crisp, 80. He's been a little underwhelming of late, as I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks, but yeah, he's scoring 80 at least, so he's still consistent, so we just got to roll with him, I think. James Sicily, 85. He's similar. He's scoring around that 70 to 80 mark over the last month or so he hasn't been great, and yeah, he could be a luxury trade for those who have nothing else to do, but there's not too many defenders at the moment that you'd look to swap him for, so yeah, I'm happy to roll with Sicily for the end of the season. Daniel Rioli, 64. He just continues to survive in my team at the moment. Daniel Rioli is finding it very hard to move him on. I just seem to have a forced trade every week. So the fact that he's very awkwardly priced just makes it really difficult to be able to move him on to someone decent. So I'll continue to try to look to move him on, but yeah, it's very difficult at the moment. So at this stage, he probably stays in my side for another week. Onto the midfield now. Andy Brayshaw, 98. He just spent way too long on the bench in that last quarter and couldn't get back on the ground, so he was definitely on track for a 110 plus score, so yeah, a little annoying there. Toot Miller, 120. He's had a fantastic back half of the season, Toot Miller, so definitely glad that I have him, and yeah, he's definitely a top 8 midfielder to end the season. And Jack Steele, 154. I was absolutely wrapped with Steele there. He had about a career best game. I think he had the most disposals he's ever recorded, and yeah, plenty of tackles as well. So yeah, I actually had the captain on him all the way up until Sunday before I changed it to Merritt. So ended up losing around 30 points there, but yeah, at least I own Jack Steele, so very happy with that. And then Zach Merritt, as I mentioned, 121 as my captain this week. He had a 10-point last quarter, so he's definitely on track for around a 130 to 140 score. So a little bit annoying in the end, but I don't think you can complain too much. Pretty happy with a 120 as my captain this week, especially after I had two sub-80 scores as my captain the last 2 weeks, so I'll definitely take that. Jack McRae, 101. I was actually pretty happy with that score in the end for McRae. I think he had around 4 disposals halfway through the second quarter, I think, so it was very unlike Jack McRae there, but he eventually worked into that game, as did the Dogs in general, and yeah, ended up scoring that ton, so pretty happy with that overall. Lockie Neal, 95. He hasn't scored a ton for about a month or so now, I think, maybe 3 weeks. It's, yeah, a little frustrating there, so hopefully he can have a big end to the season, Lockie Neal. Bailey Smith, who I brought in this week, 107. He was pretty good. I'll take that from him, and yeah, especially as I can flick him forward now, he'll definitely be around those top 6 forwards, so glad that I brought him in this week, Bailey Smith. Ben Keys, 108. He was pretty good overall. I'll take that from him. Now onto the rucks. Riley O'Brien, 104. He did pretty well. I'm happy with a ton from him, and yeah, he's someone though that not a huge fan of. I don't really like him in my team, but so I'll probably look to move him on the next couple of weeks. But yeah, pretty happy with that. I'll take a ton from him every day of the week. And Rowan Marshall, who I brought in this week, 108, and I was absolutely wrapped with him. Taking over that number one ruck role with Paddy Ryder out of the side, and yeah, he looked really good out there. He's got some very favourable matchups coming up as well, so pretty happy with him. Onto the forwards now. Stephen Cornelio, 88. He's spending a little bit more time up forward, which is not ideal for fantasy, but yeah, I think he's still pretty safe there. He played pretty well, and yeah, we'll take that from him. Marcus Bontempelli, 125. He's just been in super form of late, and yeah, definitely glad that I brought him in straight after the buys, I think it was. That's when I brought him in, and yeah, he hasn't put a foot wrong so far, so he's a definite top six forward, and everyone should have him in their teams by now. Tim English, 116. I was very happy with that. It was good to see him bounce back from a very disappointing week last week, and he looked great. Plenty of disposals and plenty of marks, which is what he does best, so happy with him. Josh Dunkley, 102. He was good. We'd definitely take that from him. Everyone owns him, so it doesn't affect our scores too much. Adam Treloar, 98. He was on track for a 115 plus score, but actually got subbed out halfway through that fourth quarter, and apparently it was calf tightness was the reasoning behind him being subbed. So yeah, not too sure what that means for next week. You'd say he probably misses, but it doesn't seem to be too bad from all reports, so hopefully he gets up to play. Will Brody, 105. He just continues to be ultra consistent this season, and yeah, definitely stays in our sides for the remainder of the season. Will Brody has just been an absolutely phenomenal pick. So now I'll talk a bit about what my trade plans are at the moment. And yeah, obviously Adam Treloar, there's a bit of doubt whether or not he gets up for next weekend after being subbed out with that calf tightness. So I'll definitely have to keep an eye on that and see what happens there. There is a few different options that I could have a look at this weekend, but as you can see, I've got Bailey Smith there in the midfield. I'll definitely look to flick him forward this week and bring in a premium midfielder in that position. So yeah, what I'll look to do there is downgrade a rookie to a basement price, make a bit of cash, and then look to upgrade someone like Adam Treloar. If he misses, obviously he'd be the one that I look to upgrade. If not, then someone like Riley O'Brien is probably the one using a bit of DPP that I look to bring in a midfielder for. So yeah, then the options I could look at this week, Callum Mills and Clayton Oliver, they're the probably two that I would look to bring in there. Rory there, I love to own him. It definitely hurts not owning him, but yeah, he's just out of reach now. He's just way too expensive. So I think I'll just have to miss out on him for the remainder of the season, unfortunately. So yeah, Clayton Oliver or Callum Mills, probably leaning a bit more towards Mills at this stage. The other option I do have, and someone who's going to be a very popular trade target this week, is obviously Max Gawn, who's very cheap at the moment and scored a 130 on the weekend. And it took him a while to ease back into it after that ankle injury, and he looks to be back to his best at the moment. So he's a great option this week. It's just whether or not I want to get a midfielder or Max Gawn first this week. So that's kind of what I'm debating between. In terms of some other trade targets that I don't mind, in defence, keep an eye on Tom Stewart returning from that suspension this week, priced at 815k, and I think he offers a little bit of value. Geelong have 3 games at home down in Geelong to end the season. He definitely loves that ground, Tom Stewart, so he'll be one that I'll have a look at. Maybe just wait a week to see how he goes first, and he's going to drop a little bit more in price. In the ruck, obviously Max Gawn, as I touched on, he's a great trade target this week. And Rowan Marshall, who I got last week, he's also a great option. He's got Hawthorn coming up next week, which is a pretty good matchup as well, so he's still plenty of value in that number one ruck role. And in the forwards, I definitely like someone like Tim Taranto, 773k. He still offers a lot of value as well, so he'd be someone that I would have a look at. And also Tim English, if you don't have him, is a little bit more cheaper now. And yeah, he's going to be a top 6 forward, top 2 ruck, probably whichever way you look at it. So he's definitely someone that you probably need in your side if you don't have him. So yeah, they're the trade targets in general that I don't mind this week. So that's all for today's video, guys. Thanks again for watching, and as always, it'd be much appreciated if you could like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your trades are. I'm happy to give a second opinion on those as always, and yeah, good luck to anyone involved in any league finals, which are starting this week. Always an exciting time of the season as we launch into the last month or so of fantasy. So good luck to those there. And yeah, thanks again for watching and good luck in round 20.